Welcome to Of the Publishing Persuasion, a podcast all for writers. We're here for you on this journey, this wild and turbulent maze of a journey. I'm Melanie Schubert, today with my amazing, wonderful Angela Montoya.
Yes.
Hi,
Enter the applause.
How are you, my gorgeous friend? Your hair is just like catwalk hair.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, it's funny because you and I were talking about this just before we hit record. Like, this is the one time I personally get dressed up and do my hair. So thank you. Yeah, feeling good. I'm not. Yeah. Well, I am not as sexy as you though today, because you over here, I can't stop looking. You look gorgeous.
My bra strap literally just dropped down when you said you look sexier. It's like, I'm ready for you.
It did. I noticed that. I was like, dang, my voice just has that. Like, take it off.
That effect. Well, I thought I'd go for a little bit of a gothic-y vampire theme, given our guest today, the amazing Margie Fuston. I cannot believe you got her the day after her book has dropped.
Amazing. I just got chills thinking about it because, I mean, so, well, when we're airing this will probably be the beginning of September, but today's the August 25th. It came out yesterday, August 24th. And I was so excited. I just kept checking like all of her like Instagram pictures and just people like posting about it. Because it's just such a good book, and obviously I love Margie, so
for our listeners,
just to know somebody.
For our listeners, she was actually your mentor for Pitch Wars. She
was, and so obviously I am obsessed with her and indebted to her forever. She's amazing, and I was looking at her bio just to put on our Persuasion Instagram. And let me read it to you because there was things I was like, what? So let me read it to you. So Margie lives in California, where I also live there too, but dreams of being in New Orleans, eating thin cut fried catfish or a muffuletta. I don't know what that is. I'll have to ask her. Do you know what that is? Did I say it wrong?
I have no idea what it is.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't either. I'm going to have to, because I don't know what a muffuletta is. Followed by beignets for dessert, of course. She has an MA in creative writing. Her poetry has appeared in Writer's Digest, Gargoyle, and Late Peaches, an Anthology of Sacramento Poets, among others. I had no clue. That's amazing. She does a little bit of everything to make a living, but she mostly flips houses to support her spoiled cats. When she's not working, writing, or wrangling cats, she's getting lost in the forest, wandering the beach, or curling up on the couch to watch Vampire Diaries one more time. Margie is represented by Rebecca Podos of Rees Literary Agency. I didn't know she was a poet too. I did not know that. Yeah. So I'm just more impressed by her like every day.
But it kind of makes sense because I've just started reading her book, Vampires, Hearts, and Other Dead Things. It's such a great title. We have to talk about that when she comes on. And her writing is just lush. Like, it's so evocative and heart-wrenchingly beautiful. Like, I'm so excited to like, we're going to just fangirl. She's not even ready for us.
I know. Yes.
So do you have 100%. Any updates that you want to share? Like, what's happening in Writerland? I mean, I've been reading some snippets of things.
Yes. I'm so excited about it. Like, I am loving this new project, and it was inspired by Margie. It was because, her book is about a girl, going to find a vampire. And I woke up one morning thinking, well, what about the author who wrote the book? And so my story idea came from Margie, just thinking, what if this author of these amazing stories gets invited to a place and it happens to be a world where vampires do exist. And so that's where it's building from, and I'm just having so much fun. And it's fun writing like in the adult genre, like for sure this time, and just like just
going with that.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if I'm like going too much. So I'm still figuring it out.
I mean, do you know
what about you?
I always think that with stuff, but then you think about stuff like, I mean, Game of Thrones is the first thing that comes to my mind, and it just goes there. Like the places you just were like, they're not gonna go there. So I feel like anything you do won't be as shocking as
I like that. I like that. Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, good. I am a bit slower with my revision than I'd like, but still, I mean, we're in lockdown here, so I just kind of do everything a bit slower when we're in lockdown. So I'm still making progress, and it's kind of like when I look back, I'm like, oh, we're at 70%. So I'm nearly there. And then Courtney's going to do a beta read for me because she's an adult romance writer that I love. So it will be good to have like her eye on it from like an adult perspective.
Yes.
So excited for that. And
oh my gosh, that'll be great.
Other than that, just chilling just like
over here being all cute. You're and gobsmacked. You shared a clip about that. That looks so cool. Like those children just murdered that show. It looked so professional and cool. And you wrote that?
Yeah, I did. Well, obviously the dancing is not my field. That's my boss, Patrice. She's like an old friend from, I say old friend, when you're in college, it doesn't feel like that. Like she's an old friend, but she is from like uni. And yeah, like I kind of used to fix her essays for her. I was like the friend, everyone was like, Mel, I have a 2,000 word essay due tomorrow and I haven't started, help. And I just like just crap out something that would get them a pass grade.
Oh, what a good friend. What a good friend. So anyway,
she started her own performing arts company. She was like, do you reckon you could write a script? And I was like, I bloody well try. Like writing was always kind of like what I love. So yeah, I write their scripts. That was like a weird long segue. Just so for people who don't know what we're talking about, it's the New Zealand performing arts company I write for, Gobsmacked Performing Arts. So yeah, the main thing she does is she actually goes into schools, like any school, and takes them for 6 weeks. And then the end result is this massive production. And like, even when I was writing it, I was like, oh yeah, it's going to be like school play. But when I actually went and saw the shows, I was like shaking the whole way through, because what she does with it is just incredible. Like, yes, the kids are amateurs. They've learned it in 6 weeks. I think the ones in the clip were from her weekend program, so they're a little bit more polished. But yeah. So that's exciting.
So cool.
So after I finish this revision, I'll be the little indie book I had published a few years back. She's asked me to write that, Gregory and the Grim Buckler. She's asked me to write that into a play. So I'm excited about that.
I love that. That's so cool. I love it so much.
Well, let's get Margie on, because I cannot wait a second longer.
Yes.
Hello.
There she is.
Hi. I'm here.
We're here. We've just been gushing about your book, which I have just started, and I am just in awe of what an amazing writer you are.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
No, seriously. Yeah. Oh, it's funny because I have the ARC version of Vampires, Hearts, and Other Dead Things, but I went and bought the hard copy because my ARC has just tear stains everywhere.
Oh.
So I was like, I need to get the hardcover. How does it feel, Margie?
It feels great. It feels strange to know that people can walk into Barnes and Noble and pick it up. It's kind of wild, but yeah, it feels good.
How did yesterday, like how was it for you? I mean, was it were you getting all kinds of messages and just bombarded and
yeah, so many nice messages, like people messaging me like as they started reading, being like, I'm already crying. Or people messaging me at the end and being like, I'm still crying. And I'm like, yeah.
And you're just over there laughing.
I'm like, haha, yay.
Literally, you know you've made it when people are ugly crying.
Yes.
Oh, and
I love when
totally
people post the pictures and videos, which I think you did, Angela.
Yeah, I was like snot nosed, just like puffy eyed, especially at the, well, I won't say anything, but like when I finished the book, I was bawling, but in the best way, in the very best way. It was perfect. It was so good. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I never thought I'd be the kind of person who was happy to make people cry, but somehow I ended up here.
Evil. You're evil.
But I think when you cry, you know you hit those emotional points that like your writing was that powerful, you know, that, and I feel like I've just started, but there's just little things that in the text that I find so relatable, and that's what really just puts you into the character's shoes. And yeah, there's just, can I share a little, like one line?
Yeah, sure.
There's a line where she says, my legs gone dead, not dead, numb. And I felt like it was such a relatable thing that I do in my head when I'm like stressed about saying you don't want to say the taboo word. It's like you automatically correct it. And I was just like, she sees me.
Thank you. I agonized over that line, like several different versions of it. So
it's magical.
Thank you for noticing it.
Yes, I felt it
paid off.
The cockles of my heart.
No, and there's a lot of lines like that throughout the whole entire book that just like you have to stop and kind of like sit in it for a second and just like take it in, like, damn, that was good. Like, damn, she got me good on that one. And there's so many lines, and I love that in the opening, like on each chapter you like have a reference for some sort of like from a vampire like movie or show or book. And to me that just like added that extra little like cherry on top, because it was just so perfectly placed in each chapter. And the whole book is freaking creative. And here's the thing, I didn't know, Margie, that you were a poet, but now like it makes so much sense. Like Melanie was saying, we were chatting about this before, it makes so much sense. You have poetry in your book, and I did not know that Miss Fuston over here was like a badass poet. I had no idea. That's amazing.
Thank you. Poetry was my like first love, so it's like, oh yeah. You know, there's a poem at the very end of the book that I did with pieces of these other poems from other people, and that was a lot of fun. It took me forever, but it was a lot of fun.
I can only imagine.
So tell us about that title, which I just love, Vampires, Hearts, and Other Dead Things. I'm so in love with the title. Anytime anyone asks in Instagram, what are you reading right now? I'm like, Vampires, Hearts, and Other Dead Things. And they're just like, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. Just based on the title, I need it.
I love my title so much. It came to me before like any of the book came to me, really. I actually can't quite remember if the title came first before my idea for the book or right after, but it was like very, very early on. And I was like, oh, wow, that's super catchy. I was like, I really, really love that. And I'm going to make sure my book fits this title. But that's kind of how I am with titles. Like either it's there and like the title's kind of like operating as almost like part of the pitch for the book that's kind of guiding the book, or I don't have a title and it's agony to come up with a title. So my second book is called Cruel Illusions, and that one was the agony one. Vampires, Hearts, and Other Dead Things, that was just there and it stuck. And then my other book has been through like maybe 6 different titles.
I love that though. I love Cruel Illusions. That's a nice name.
Yeah, I love that title too. And as much as I love Vampires, Hearts, and Other Dead Things, that is a mouthful. And so every time I had to type out the full title, I was like, oh my gosh, I could have just picked a single word. But I love it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Will you give us like a brief just summary of what your book is actually about for the audience?
So it's about my main character, Victoria, whose dad is dying from pancreatic cancer, and she gets the news like, okay, there's basically no hope left. And she just can't accept that. So she ends up going on what was supposed to be a graduation trip with her dad to New Orleans. And her dad's like, I still want you to go, take one of your friends and go and get out of here for a while. Because she's not dealing with, his impending death very well, because who would? And so she doesn't want to go until she gets this idea of, well, what if I don't go for fun? What if I go to find a vampire? Because that could be my last hope. There's this one last thing that could save my dad. So I need to try and do that. Because it's set in this world where vampires revealed themselves 10 years ago and then disappeared again. And so a lot of people still believe oh yeah, those were real vampires, but half the world believes that was nothing but a hoax. So it's this kind of gamble because no one's seen one in, about 10 years, but she decides it's her last chance.
It's so good.
Amazing. That is so hooky.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It is. And one of the things that struck me that I've actually not really thought about really, and I don't know why, because I love vampire movies and stuff, but was the things that she would have to give up if she became a vampire, giving up just sunlight, those kind of things I've never really thought of until I read your book. And I was thinking, actually, I don't know if I'd want to be a vampire anymore, because I do, but I'm not sure anymore. It was really it made me think a lot, honestly, maybe too much about.
It's okay. You can be a Twilight vampire. You'll just sparkle in the sun.
Yeah, I'll sparkle. I'll be a vegetarian. Well, okay, that's another question I wanted to ask, because you do have so much just references to all types of movies and whatnot, vampire-esque. Who is your favorite vampire of all time?
Oh, okay. Such a tough question. I have to go with Damon from the Vampire Diaries because, he's just Damon. How can you not love that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's a pretty good answer there.
I mean,
definitely.
Yeah, as a character, I think he does some stuff if I was Elena, I would not forgive, but
that's your boo right there.
Super attractive. So yeah.
Well, Angela, I would ask who yours is, but we already know from the last podcast episode that you're a total Carlisle fangirl. Unless it's
Carlisle. What? Why?
Listen, Margie, listen. He's educated, okay? He's a family man. He's a doctor. I mean, The guy's going places. I mean, come on. I got to think of these things. I'm very practical. He's a good man.
Like, oh, okay. I think you're the only person ever to answer that for that question.
I mean, I gotta give it to him.
Last episode, I found out both Angela and Courtney had a major Carlisle crush. And I think it's because we're all getting older. So, and when you watch the movies, they're like, I think we're in the age bracket now where Carlisle is starting to look fine.
I think that's what's happened. I'm a mother now. I mean, I've got to think who's going to take care of these kids, you know?
Yeah. All right, that makes sense. Like how you're watching Buffy and like each rewatch Giles gets more and more attractive, and then you finally realize like, oh snap, I'm old.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, the worst is like you're rewatching a show and like, what was it? Oh, like Full House. I don't know if you guys watch Full House, but like Danny Tanner was in his 30s when Full House was airing. I am in my 30s. Like I now, like I am Danny Tanner's age, and it's like it's just boggling my mind. Like, well, Danny was doing all right. Like Danny lived in the city. He had a big ass house. I gotta work on some things. Getting old is not fun. I don't know. What about you, Melanie? Who's your vampire? Your go-to vampire?
I don't know. I feel like someone from Underworld.
Oh yeah.
Either of them. I could like. They're both fine.
Yeah. My second would be Blade. Sorry. Hey, Wesley Snipes is right. I mean,
I back that. So I want to hear a bit about, Margie, you were Angela's mentor for Pitch Wars. I want to hear a little bit like that. A little bit like that. I need a bit more coffee. I want to hear all about that. So what stood out to you about, I was thinking about it and I was like, it must be so hard for you all to pick your final manuscript to work with. What was it in the end? I mean, obviously, I'm a major fangirl of Angela's book. What was it in the end that stood out to you and you were just like, this is the one?
Oh, yeah. So I got so many submissions, and for me, it kind of came down to character, like just characters that resonated with me. And like, that's something that's so subjective too, which is why, some people like, love a book and some people don't, as it comes down to am I connecting with this character, or is their emotional journey like interesting to me, making sense to me? So I think that was a huge part, and also the big part for me, since I'm not just reading the book for fun, it is, do I see a revision plan for this book? And so like with Angela's book, I was like, oh snap, like she could do this and this and this and this and this and tweak this and do that. And so like I had, like as I was reading, I was just like, okay, this is all fantastic. This is all working here. But what if this happened? What if this happened? What if we just shift this? So I had this like very, very clear idea of where her book could go. So like as I was reading, I was already kind of drafting that edit letter in my head, and I just felt like this is the book that I can do the most for in the revision process. So that was the really huge thing, which is just, do I have the right skills as a mentor to take this book to the next level?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's honestly really great to hear. Well, for me, it's great to hear. But for like hopeful, people for Pitch Wars that are hoping to, submit this year, is just knowing that it is so subjective, and it's also if the mentor really feels like they can take it to the next level, and you freaking did. Like you helped me. I mean, when I first got the edit letter, I was like, holy shit, like, it's real, like we're doing this. And then we had some Zoom calls, and then, you know, you helped me kind of figure out like where we're going. And it was life-changing for me, honestly. Like Margie, you changed my life. I mean that in every way. Like the fact that you took the time to really help me, and you were just the best mentor I could have ever asked for. So thank you for one.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. It was so much fun.
Are you mentoring this year?
I am mentoring this year.
Oh,
yeah.
You are?
Yes.
See, I need to be more nosy. I should know this. Okay. Now I know. Now I'm gonna start. I'm boosting you to whoever I know is submitting, because they need to all just. What were you gonna say, Melanie?
I actually just had this memory of, because I remember you telling me how excited you were to work with Margie, and you were just like, I think she understands my book better than I do.
100%.
Yeah. Perfect.
100%. She did, because she would ask me like, well, but you know, like, why are they doing this? And I'd be like, well, I don't know. Like, you tell me. Help me. Why are they doing that? and I think that for me was also game changer, just in writing, was like just to think of your chapters and like your character motivation. Like that was the thing that like you kept like kind of pounding into me. It was like, well, why? What is the purpose of this scene? Like, I think one of my like little homework things was to like go through all my chapters and just like point out what the point of it was. And that was such a game changer, just writing wise, because it showed me that you don't just write just to write. Like these scenes aren't just there just to be like funny, because there were scenes in there I thought were great, but they had no purpose, but I just liked them. And so just finding that motivation of why they're doing the things they're doing, and does it like fit with their arc and the plot and everything. I mean, that was like a huge game changer, just writing wise from here on out. So, I mean, thank you, Margie, again.
My pleasure.
Melanie, did you know that Margie was also in Pitch Wars? You were in it twice, right?
I was, yeah.
No, I didn't know.
2018.
Amazing.
Yeah, why don't you tell us about that experience for you?
Yeah.
So I did it twice. I actually did it first with the first book that I ever really finished in 2017. And so that was that was an interesting year. That was back when Pitch Wars, I think we only had like 2 months to revise. And I think now it's, how long was it? 4 months now?
Yeah, it feels like 4. It felt like an eternity, but I think it was 4 months.
Yeah, so that was an interesting experience. I'm a big believer in Pitch Wars, but sometimes there's that one-off experience where it just not working. So like in that case, I got a mentor who picked me without having read my book. I don't think she had even read it by the end of the time period. So I ended up getting like an edit letter based off of my first 2 chapters. And then she kept saying like, there's more coming up until like the very end. And I was like, okay, there's no more coming. And then she was like, oh, I picked you because it didn't need any work. So that whole experience wasn't fantastic, because obviously you go into Pitch Wars because you want mentorship. And I should clarify that person is no longer mentoring. And I definitely should have like reached out to the people, the committee, and been like, hey, don't have an edit letter. But back then I was like so brand new to the writing community. Like it was my first time Like, I think I had just gotten on Twitter and like just gotten on Facebook to join the group. And so I just felt like I should just keep my mouth shut kind of thing.
Yeah.
So when 2018 Pitch Wars rolled around, I almost didn't do it because I was like, I don't want to have that experience again where I'm just sitting waiting for someone to help me who's never going to help me. But thank goodness I decided at the last minute, basically, I want to get this manuscript ready for Pitch Wars. I wrote that first draft in a month, and I submitted to Pitch Wars the very first draft of Vampires, Hearts, and Other Dead Things. Like, it hadn't been revised at all. I finished it like the day before. And so for the 2018 Pitch Wars, I got the best mentors in the world, like Dawn and Kimberly. They were both like just absolutely wonderful people, and they helped me so much with that book. Like, I owe them a debt. So they like gave me that true, like, wonderful Pitch Wars experience that you should get when you get into Pitch Wars. So I was really, really glad that I went ahead and did it again and didn't let that first experience kind of beat me down, because it did. Like, I didn't even query after that, the agent round, which didn't go that great for me, obviously. And so like for a few months, I didn't even query. I just kind of sat with that book because I was like, well, I didn't get the help I needed. I don't think I can do this by myself. But I picked myself back up, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
And I did Pitch Wars again. So, and now I'm a mentor because I do believe in the program immensely.
Yeah. I mean, I could understand why you would feel like just let down and kind of disappointed and wanting to just not sure if you want to try it again or what to do, just kind of confused. But the fact that you kept going and you got in the next year, right? You got in?
Yeah, it was the next
and
year.
Then,
yeah.
That's wild. And so Pitch Wars, it was 2018. And so after that, you started querying your Vampires, Hearts, and Other Dead Things?
Yeah, so right when Pitch Wars ended, I sent the submissions to the people that requested in the agent round. And so I heard from my current agent, I think about 5 days after I sent those submissions, asking for the call. So I didn't actually like really have to dive into the query trenches again, because I did get an agent, a marvelous agent, out of that showcase.
Wow.
So great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite hardening for people to hear, because, you know, I know just looking at some of the group chats that happen after Pitch Wars, and even for me, like, the showcase was not my day. And I think that people can sometimes feel like they've blown just listening to the conversations that happen. Like, I think I'm lucky that I had other experience that when I experienced that, I was like, this doesn't mean bad things. This just wasn't the day for this book. It might not be my debut. But I think seeing, like, when you just persist and like how you busted out your next book, and the first draft, it had that thing already, you know, that you got picked up for Pitch Wars, because all the time you're honing your craft, you're getting better and stuff. And I just think it's such a reminder to just that persistence with writing is more important than any of the other stuff, because you could have been so devastated by that Pitch Wars experience that you just didn't want to write. And
yeah, and I was for a little bit pretty devastated, because, you know, I was hearing, like, in the Facebook group, you know, everyone talking about all their edits they were doing and everything. And I was like, I'm not doing anything. And basically panicking. But I should mention that 2017 Pitch Wars book, I couldn't quite let go of it, because I knew that it had something, but I didn't know how to get get that out through revisions. But once I learned how to revise more with the help of my mentors in 2018, when it came time to think about, okay, what's your second book going to be? I went back to that book and I revised it again. And so that actually is going to be my second published book now.
I love that. I love that.
That is amazing.
And I think so, like, I honestly believe that some of those good ideas, that they don't die, that they're just waiting for the right moment to be born in their full. Like, I think of some other projects that I've got that I stopped working on, and I'm like, I feel like I stopped because I didn't have the skills I needed to bring that story to life then. And it just, but going back, knowing what I know now, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm excited to go back to those in the future.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think any project is necessarily ever completely dead.
Yeah.
You know, you can add in the vampires and make it undead, which is what I did. I ended up adding vampires to it. That was the secret ingredient that the manuscript was missing. Because back when I was working on that, people were still like, agents were like, no vampires, thank you. But after I sold a vampire book, I was like, well, now it's my chance to put vampires back in this manuscript and see if it will work. So
I think there's always room for more vampire stuff. I just think it's one of those things that there's never too much stuff. Like,
that's how I feel.
I'm just having that TikTok thing. People ask me, is it too much? It's never enough.
Give it to me, all of it. Give me all the vampires. What is this new or your second book? Can you give us a little hint about what it's about?
My second book is about these immortal stage and street magicians who have real magic, and they are also vampire hunters. And so my main character, Ava, her mom used to be also a magician, and so she's always had a love for that, but her mom was also killed by a vampire. So she's actually out looking for revenge when she ends up hooking up with these street and stage magicians and kind of starts getting in on their secrets, and she has this like path for revenge in front of her, but they're kind of this little secret society, and they will not let her in completely until she wins this magical competition. So
wow. Well, dang, take my money now, please, because that's amazing. I love that. That is cool. It's already sold. Like, I'll take it right now, please.
Right.
That's so good.
Already clearing a space on my bookshelf.
Yeah.
Because I need physical copies too. I had to get the ebook dropped. Like, I was like, I really want to read some of it before we interview you. And I was just Googling, and it was like, buy now. And I was like, buy now. I don't even think it comes out to tomorrow. So, because I'm in Australia, I guess they dropped it a day early.
Yes.
Wonderful. What's our critical questions? Did we have anything else?
Like, just what do you like about me? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I did want to know. I wanted to know your favorite scene from Angela's book, Sinner's Isle.
Oh, I don't know, because now it's adult, so I'm ready for that too.
I will send it to you because let me explain. I sent it to you, but I didn't have your actual email, so
it's in my Pitch Wars email. I'm sorry about that.
I'm gonna want to read that scene. Is all I
was trying to cut off contact with you, but it didn't work.
You can't. It's not going to happen, Margie. I know. I have your number.
And you think you know where I live, probably too.
I wasn't going to say that because I didn't want to be creepy, but I do have your address, actually. Margie and I live very close to each other. But
cool. We haven't met in person because we're both hermits.
And also pandemic.
Pandemic. But let me just, since you said we're both hermits, let me just admit something. Hold on. Okay. So yesterday I went into Barnes and Noble and I was looking for your book. I didn't see it. And so I asked the lady and she said, oh, there's one left. And I was so excited. And I said, oh, and I had to brag. I was like, oh, well, that's my friend's book. I have to have it. And she's like, oh, is she local? I said, yes. She said, oh, have her come in and do a book signing. What? And I said, what I meant to say was, well, she's kind of a hermit. What I actually said was, I said, she's a hobbit.
Oh my gosh. It's like pretty close too, I guess.
Can I just say how much less alone in the world I feel knowing there's someone as awkward and ridiculous as me?
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
I died. And the guy goes, oh, does she have hairy feet?
Oh my gosh.
So if you go in and to sign your books and he asks about your feet, just know I did not mean to call you a hobbit. I am sorry.
Oh my goodness, I was gonna go in next week, but now I'm having second thoughts.
You go.
No, that's fantastic.
That is old.
Actually a hobbit.
I did not mean to. It was terrible. I was thinking about it all day today. I called Margie Fuston a hobbit.
They're going to be really surprised at how tall I am.
Are you tall?
Yeah, I'm 5'10", so I'm pretty tall.
Oh, wow. Okay, you are tall. I'm like 5 foot, like negative, so.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I'm little. I'm like 5'2".
I don't know what I am.
I'm short.
Thanks. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm like the height of a 13-year-old, as my daughter tells me today.
With COVID stuff, will you be able to do any bookish events, or it's all dependent on?
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of depends. Like right now, I'm still living that hobbit lifestyle.
Fair enough.
For now.
Yeah.
You can just sneak in and sign random copies of your book if you're feeling.
Yes.
It'll be like
you should.
No, I am gonna go in and sign next week probably. So
yeah.
Good.
It's on the
books.
You've worked so hard to get here. It'll be fun.
So exciting.
I get very anxious about that kind of people interaction. When I had my little indie book published, a teacher asked me to come speak at her school, and I was actually relieved when the book went out of print, so I didn't have to. I shouldn't have been relieved. But I was so panic stricken about going to speak to these, and kids are smarter than adults, so like they can see through your bullshit. And I was like, I was literally relieved that it went out of print, so I could say to her, I'm sorry, I can't come. It's too hard. I don't have a book to sell.
Yeah, the struggle of a lot of writers. We want to write the books and then hide under a blanket.
It's true.
Absolutely.
But the more you do it, the easier it gets. I used to have like multiple panic attacks before even just like recording myself for Instagram. And now we have a podcast.
Yes,
it's like
it does. I mean, I used to teach, so like,
true.
I'm pretty shy. But if you put me in front of a group of people and like give me center stage, then I will be a different person, basically.
That's awesome.
I love that.
Yes,
well, it's been so amazing to have you on, and I feel like we could have picked your brain for hours. And I just feel like we've had it. I always just feel like we've just had coffee with friends catching up. And I'm so glad that people are vibing that with the podcast too. So do you have any?
Well, thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Any like closing words to Pitch Wars with Pitch Wars coming up? Any closing words to Pitch Wars hopefuls?
Do it. Like if you're on the fence, why not just do it? I mean, even if you think your manuscript's like a mess, you're like, why not just put it out there? Put it out there. You never know. Like,
totally.
Because people are always, more critical of their own work. So you might be sitting there telling yourself like, this is a disaster, when really you have something golden and you just need another person to be like, oh, I see what you're doing here. I see the heart of this. I see what we can do. Yeah. So take a gamble on yourself.
Totally.
That's perfect.
So guys,
advice.
The incredible Margie Fuston, get out there. I mean, book already selling out a day after. That's a very good sign. Get out there. Vampires. Thank you, Angela. Vampires, Hearts, and Other Dead Things. It is amazing. I'm already so in love. So thank you for joining us, Margie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being a part of my life, Margie.
Thank you for being a part of mine, Angela.
Feel the love through the screen. This is a beautiful relationship.
One day we will meet in person.
Yeah, 10 years from now.
Get your pom-poms out for the signings, Angela.
Yes, I'm going to start recruiting. I'm going to the Barnes & Noble, and I'm going to Margie's in, guys.
So amazing Margie Fuston. I feel so honored to have had her on. Kudos to you for booking her right after her book dropped. I feel like that timing was amazing.
It worked perfectly. And it was just I was still so I'm still on the high of just watching Margie and her book launch and everything, that just to talk to her the very next day. It's just so cool. It's amazing to be able to walk into a store and be like, I know her, and be able to brag and it's just so fun. I love that we get to see our friends thriving and doing good and being who they want to be and having their dreams come true. And it's just amazing. And it's what we've been talking about. Their successes is their successes. We're going to have ours. And, it's all going to come full circle. It's just you putting those good vibes out and just cheering on your friends as they succeed. It's just the best feeling in the world.
I agree. And I am already mentally planning a floating shelf behind my couch that has all my Pitch Wars friends books in the future.
Yes.
I want to line.
There's going to be books on books. And
I just, honestly, these days, I feel like my friends' books alone after doing the experience are going to keep us busy. If it's not debuts, it's second books. We are set for life with great reading material. But no, she's
so true.
Such a sweetheart. And we just interviewed a celebrity.
I know.
It's gonna go off.
Yes, it really is. Yeah, we're gonna be we knew her before, and that's how we're gonna be with all of our guests for sure. And it's just so cool just to chat with Margie, and she's just so great. So let me look up what her Instagram handle is, so our listeners can find her.
Yes, we were cut off at an untimely place with the Zoom.
Yeah, I think it's just Margie Fuston. She's just at Margie Fuston. She's on Twitter. You can go to her website and find her book. You can go on Amazon and find her book. I mean, she's all over the place. So Vampires, Hearts, and Other Dead Things by Margie Fuston. Honestly, it has to be read. It is so good. I read it in, so I read half the book in one day, and then I took a break because I was just busy with life. But I read the other half like in probably a few hours because I was so hooked. And so it's just one of those books that you don't want to put down. So get Vampires, Hearts, and Other Dead Things.
I mean, if you can get your hands on it, it sounds like it's selling out in your local store. You have to hop online and get a copy.
You're gonna have to, and then write a 5-star review afterwards.
And I feel like something she's done that I really love is she's merged the kind of contemporary and the fantasy so well. You feel like it's very believable, and that's what I really love in books, when it feels like this could have happened, this could be real. So
yes,
I mean, you just
I know you love that because that's how your book is. It blends it so perfectly too. So
it's gonna make me emotion.
Soups emotion. Melanie, why don't you tell our readers where they can find you?
Yes, I'm at Melanie_Schubert_writer on Instagram, which, as our regular listeners know, is where we live. And Angela?
It's true. And I am at Angela Montoya Writes on Instagram. And then I've been doing dabbling in TikTok as well, which is really fun. And I'm bad at it, but it's
You're not
actually
bad
really
at
fun.
it. You're killing it. I love your TikToks.
Well, thank you. My 11-year-old doesn't think so, but I'm just gonna keep growing. But yeah,
yours are the only writing TikToks I love that much, because you inject humor into it, and I'm quite fond of that.
You like the humor.
Just for our listeners, I just want to say thank you so much, and please continue to tag us. We love that. We honestly, it makes my day when it's like, you've been tagged in a story and it's like, I was just listening to of the publishing Persuasion. And I love that people are going back and watching the earlier episodes, and then they'll be like, just listen to this Pitch Wars and Cats episode, blah, 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 and give us a little tell us what you thought. I love that. And please do subscribe if you want to be updated when a new episode drops. So you can do it on YouTube if you want to see our lovely faces. On YouTube. I mean, if you just want to listen, I think it's more convenient for a lot of people listening on Spotify and stuff. So it's pretty good that it's on all platforms. But yeah, subscribe so you don't miss Angela's cutting wit. Cutting edge wit.
Cutting edge. It is cutting edge for sure.
I mean, she called Margie Fuston a hobbit, so there's no coming back from that. But thank you everybody for listening and for joining us on this journey, and we hope you'll continue to join in for publishing Persuasion shenanigans. But until then, farewell. I wanted to do a dramatic vampire farewell. I don't know. Farewell. Did you feel it?
Wait. Yeah. Oh, I felt something. I felt it.
That too. That's your signature getaway. So we're gonna fly on out of here, and thank you all for listening to Of the Publishing Persuasion. We'll see you next month when we interview the incredible Kyla.
Yes.
Kyla Zhao.
Mm-hmm. She's amazing.
Oh my gosh. I adore
She's
her.
way cool. She's cooler than I've ever been able to even attempt at thinking. She's way cool.
She's gonna elevate this podcast to new levels.
Yeah. We're gonna have to dress really hip. Well, you're already there. I'm gonna have to step up my game because she works for Vogue.
Yeah,
right.
I know.
So I'm gonna have to think about. I'm gonna have to wear something like couture. Just kidding. Yes. I don't have anything.
Okay, game on. Challenge accepted.
Okay.
We'll dress to the nines.
It's happening.